All right.
I don't have a lot of lots more questions for you, but let me see. But I do have some very important ones toward the end, and those are like I think honestly something we should be asking all politicians.
Yes, I think that's fair. I'm 100 years old and I go to bed at 10 o'clock.
Okay. Okay.
So let's like if you don't mind, like maybe pick like two or three of your favorite, like the questions that you really wanted to make sure to ask. Hi, Susan. We're being cool and casual on the couch because I have to charge my phone a little bit.
Okay. Okay. So I think I'm gonna go with the most important ones just in case something happens.
Yeah. Okay.
Um. Okay. Uh, I think there has been this pattern of like politicians getting into office with certain ideals. And like, for example, I'll give you an example. Obama, President Barack Obama, former President Barack Obama, had been, had respected Edward Said, which is a Palestinian historian, writer, intellectual. And he is like at the forefront, he was the basically like a big time Palestinian advocate. And former President Barack Obama was even photographed with him. When he came into office, you could see physically that he had an aversion for, Benjamin Netanyahu. And right. There was even like in the meetings, like the way they were photographed was like they did not like each other at all. Mm-hmm. So you could tell that the former President Barack Obama was, looked like pro-Palestinian. And then over time, it was like, he was singing the same tune as everyone else, which some people scuff up to AIPAC money or other pro-Israeli lobbying groups. Mm-hmm. But there has been some questions raised these days. A lot of people are starting to suspect that it is not just about finances that causes people who were otherwise opposed on a moral level to then go ahead and back basically a far-right regime in Israel. So first of all, would you accept AIPAC money or any pro-foreign government lobbying money? That's one question.
Okay.
And the other question is, in my head, speculation is coming as to there possibly being other things that are influencing our politicians other than money. And like, yes, some of it sounds maybe a little bit conspiratorial, but it kind of does not account for the fact that, like, let's say former President Barack Obama, even outside of office, like, let's say if it was finances beforehand, where, the incentive was just too great to receive this and get reelected, but now he's not getting reelected now. And every single former president, aside of Jimmy Carter, is still speaking on behalf or pro-Israel. So my informal question to you is, basically, can you give us a signal that somebody is trying to do something whereby, like, would there, like, for example, let's say there's a code word of a food that you absolutely detest. Mm-hmm. But in an interview, you would say,
beets.
I really like pickles.
Right. If I ever say that I like beets, it means I'm in danger.
Yeah, beets. Because I honestly thought about, I had this conversation now with numerous people. And some of what I'm saying may sound far-fetched because a lot of it you cannot prove. Mm-hmm. But like, there has been, like, let's say CIA operations, for example, Project Mockingbird, where
Yes.
it was discovered that not only were, news channels infiltrated by, CIA agents with, quite more pro-war agendas, they would also remove certain, like how do you call that, journalists from certain stories to avoid them telling the truth about the story, or apply pressure through management, like let's say threatening, management that they will fine the newspaper, or through various means, using like bureaucratic means, for example. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, and there was another thing, and one of these things was more serious, and that was blackmail was used, for
Right.
example.
Right.
So my question is, how committed are you to basically, I don't know if, let's say, a family member's, I don't know if I could, I don't know if, basically, I don't know if I'm going too far with asking
No,
this
I don't
question.
mind. You can ask whatever you want. Go ahead.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to get at is, would you be willing to sign some kind of pledge that you would not be taking, let's say, money from APAC or other pro-foreign government money? And would you promise, let's say, like through the use of, you mentioning that you like beads or something, giving us a signal that there's being a push in some way where people are pressuring you, or something that I can think of, like AOC was trying to fight with Nancy Pelosi, and then it seemed like Nancy Pelosi, sat her down one day and was like, "Listen, you got to sing to my tune," kind of, So, so yeah, just kind of having these points in my head of like,
Yes.
what could be done about something like that.
Oh my gosh. I think this is an amazing question. And I actually think that your question kind of, sorry, I'll put me on the camera, but censored is still here. I think that your question actually has three parts. I want to like reiterate it and see if you think that's fair. The first question I felt like was, would I ever accept APAC money, or would I ever accept PAC money? Is that fair? That's the first question. The second one was maybe like theorizing on why people do that, like why people like Obama and AOC have sort of started to change their tune a little bit once they become elected. Is that fair for what your second question was, theorizing on that?
Yes, or evolve towards pro-Israel, such as Bernie Sanders.
Oh, I see. Right. So why, like, why do theorizing on why some people who are so seem to be like with us, and when I say us, I mean people who fight like for oppressed people and people who don't support, frankly, Zionism, and why do these people seem to change their tune whenever they get in office? And then the third part of that question was, what would my signal be? Like, how will I let people know if something is happening? This is such a fun question. I love this question. Well, I mean, the content stinks, but like, I love being able to talk about this. So the first part is no. Like, I have made that abundantly clear that I want to be someone who runs a congressional campaign, having never taken any PAC money or any lobby money. And I actually have talked to some people in my state who have advised me against that, and who have told me that there are ethical ways to accept PACs, and that there are lobbies that are ethical, like unions, or just community lobbies, and that those aren't necessarily like corrupt. Even still, I'm hesitant. If somebody believes in me, they can give me an individual donation. Like, I mean, I don't want to never say never, but where I stand right now, it is a foundational principle of my campaign that I don't take PAC money and that I don't take corporate lobby money, because I truly believe that is the problem. I think that is why we are in the situation that we're in. So as it stands right now, and I don't believe I'll change my mind, I will not accept any PAC or lobby money. I mean, me and these 5 people on live are going on record. Did I answer your first part of your question?
Yes, although I honestly, I don't know if I would go that far, because pro-union is quite important as a power for people, for example. That is just my, you know, so maybe I would like, I don't know, in my case, but that's okay. You have your
Right.
principles.
And I'm still to the point where I don't know what I don't know. And I'm aware that maybe I have demonized terms like lobby and PAC when there can be good intentioned things behind it. And maybe people who wouldn't necessarily support me individually would like to support me through PAC money. And I have gotten some feedback that's like, Shauna, take the help. Like, this is hard and you can't do it all alone. And I don't know. Again, I'll never say never, but I can say for certain I would never accept a single dollar from APAC. I would never accept a single dollar from Citizens United. I mean, the places that are known for corruption, I mean, 10 toes deep, full chest, it does not matter what the amount is. I would never accept it. Do you feel like that? Did I answer your question?
Yes.
And so the second part of this question is fun, and it's kind of like what has happened? Why have there been so many people who seem like after they become elected, they change their tone? And this really is just me theorizing. I don't know. I can't claim to have that answer, but I do have a little bit of a theory. And you started to, I know you sort of felt like you needed to hold back, but you started to ask about my family. Like, what if they came from my family? And, one of my friends and creators, Cat Dad 42069, he's hilarious and everybody should follow him. But, he made a video where he talked about compromise. And it's this idea that anyone who starts to get in a position of political power, no one is immune to this, that they would start to spy on them or dig up dirt on them or mudsling on them. And if they can't find anything on you, they'll come for your family. And I would never. It's one thing when it's me. I'm open. I'm transparent. I don't have any skeletons in my closet. I mean, I am an open book. The worst they are gonna find. I say this to my friends. Maybe you'll find a picture of me like in college, drunk, like in my bloomers. But like, that's the worst. And like, that's just being a human. Like, that's just, we all have those things. But as far as a really horrendous thing that I've done or a secret that I don't want to come out, I don't have anything like that. And as far as I know, my family doesn't either. I have a really, really amazing family. I'm a little bit of a wild card, a little bit of an eccentric, but my family, my mom, dad, my two brothers, they're pretty close to perfect. Like, it would really surprise me if they had a skeleton in my closet. And, my family loves me. And I think they don't love that I'm running for Congress, but they respect that I'm doing what I believe in. That's just sort of the value set of my family. And if they have done something that they don't want to come out, I mean, I know, Susan, you're in here. I'm not talking about you. Like, this is for anybody. That's not my fault. Like,
maybe since she is elected official, she could give us like, this is
right.
This is what.
Right. So, I mean, I don't know. And I do think that compromise is used a little bit as a fear tactic to sort of prevent people from running for election and to promote paranoia so that people feel like, oh, I can't speak about all these things that I know because if I know too much, men in black suits will arrest me off the street. So I guess my theory can maybe be compromise or blackmail. I know that after AOC, before she was elected into Congress, she actually had a section on her website that talked about the liberation of Palestine and how that was one of the pillars of her campaign. And shortly after she was elected, that was removed from her website with no explanation.
And it was also anti-imperialism.
Right. So she had an anti-imperialism section that was later removed because that's one of my big things too. I'm also an anti-imperialist, and I mean it's hard for me to say. I can't speak for her. I really don't know why she would do that. And I really don't know what they would tell me or do to me. I mean, I am a therapist. I am comfortable with existentialism. I am comfortable with the idea of my own death. It all comes for us all. If they say, Shauna, we're going to kill you about this, like, okay, like arrivederci, I guess. Like, I've did my best and I'm not going to compromise my values. But that's easy for me to say now as someone who's not in Congress.
I think most of us, are more concerned with like family members or children or that kind of thing.
I would be very, I don't know, nothing surprises me anymore, but short of like them actually threatening my friends and family with violence, I mean, at that point I really can't say what I would do. It's one thing when it's me. But then when it's the
Right.
people that I love, and like I don't have children, but I do have family that I love a lot and friends that I love a lot. So I don't know. This is an interesting question to speculate on, but I just don't have
I
enough
feel
to.
like you need to develop a game plan for any situation. Like let's say Nancy Pelosi came and is like basically like bossing you around, and she's saying you gotta vote like this, otherwise we'll throw you out of all these committees, and you won't have like let's say that will be a code word, then another code word for
Right.
some kind of like I have to vote like this, otherwise they're threatening with like
Yeah.
I wish that we could do something where up front there could be some kind of signal or something like that so that we
Right.
know what the heck is going on.
Well, let's just go on the record and say if I ever say I like beets, if I ever am looking sincerely, genuinely, and saying I like beets, something's up. Call me, come get me, do something. It's not okay. We'll just go on the record saying that. But I mean, even still, like, I don't know. Again, it's easy for me to say this, not in this position yet, but it is how I feel. Nancy Pelosi's not going to bully me. Andy Barr's not going to bully me. Like, nobody in Congress is going to bully me. Like, if you want to kick me off a committee, kick me off a committee. I'm the hardest worker you've ever been in the same room as, and I'm going to make that committee better. And if you don't want me on that committee, I don't know. I guess I'll take a long lunch. Like, your loss, I guess. Again, easy for me to say, having never been in this situation. But I do feel like if there's one thing I know for sure about myself, it's that I'm not going to compromise my values. And, short of, again, like violence and physical harm, my family wouldn't want me to compromise my values, even if they don't agree with me. So I feel like that's one of the positions that put me in like a privileged place to be an elected official is that, like, my family they're good people and they can take care of themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, just kind of wanted to cover like those are the most important things, and then there were some other things we didn't go over. Like for example, I had a list of several people that were interviewed during the recent Kentucky gubernatorial race between Bashar and what was the other guy called?
Oh, Daniel Cameron? Yeah.
Cameron. And people listed out, like voter by voter, they listed out their concerns. So since it was more recent, I kind of thought, it's good for you to hear what voters were recently concerned with, even though it was not for your seat. It was more gubernatorial.
Right.
But it still can apply. And then, I kind of wanted to get your answers on that, but I think we're, good for today. Maybe we can do another.
All right. Do we want to do let me ask you a question. That's fun. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
All right. You're this interview has been amazing. I was really impressed with your knowledge that I make good vegan lasagna. So, I mean, please, only to your comfort level. Disclose only what you're comfortable with. But, what made you reach out to me and ask for an interview? Kind of what's your skill set and interest in this?
So, to be honest, if I wasn't, I myself have always been politically involved, I have a background in it. I also interned for someone in that type of field. I'm not going to say who or whatever.
Right.
But a candidate who is currently, in his position. I have a background in anything that's controversial. So, like politics and religion, for whatever reason, right. I sometimes hate myself because I'm the type of person that likes these things.
Me too. Tell me about it.
But at the same time, it's like no matter how hard I try not to care, it always comes back, and I always and I don't like that about myself, that I'm so much into these things. But I feel like, unfortunately, a lot of people are thinking, there's protest, there's civil disobedience, there's all these different things we could do. But politics is definitely a big piece of the puzzle. And if you just give up on it, you have signed off for
Right.
somebody to continue to do what they're going to do to you.
Right.
And I do have a background in government type of work. I'm not going to,
Right. Right. Of
say
course.
specifics. But yeah, and I'm also like to write and all these things. But yeah, so I'm definitely, and I'm someone who has considered running in the past, and
Oh my gosh, do it. I've found, at least to this point, it's not as hard as I thought it would be.
yeah, that's good to know. It's uh, in my case, it's a bit, I have also like health issues, and
Right.
then my family, and my ethnic background, my religion would definitely be an obstacle, and I can imagine myself getting like death threats and stuff like some of the other women
Right.
with my similar background, basically.
Absolutely. I mean, that was, gosh, that was a beautiful answer. I feel like I know you better, and I'm so sorry. I'm not to make it about me after that beautiful answer, but like just to like kind of like acknowledge where you're coming from and validate that a little bit. One of the reasons I feel like I have to do this is because I won't say I feel like I have to do this. I'm choosing to do this because I know I would be a good person for this role. And one of those reasons is that I am a privileged white person who grew up in an evangelical white family. The world was supposed to be made for people like me. And I made every right choice. I've made a video where I talk about this a little bit. I worked hard in school. I went to college. I got my master's. I worked 2 jobs for 6 years. I worked hard. And now, here, having made every right choice, I'll probably never own a home. Like, I didn't even have a child. And so it's really made me realize that America has left its own people behind. And as somebody who has the privilege of my whiteness and the privilege of my religious background and the privilege of family support, honestly, just the fact that my family loves me, not everyone has that. The privilege of good health that I know of, I don't have any disabilities. I feel like as someone with all of those good things going for them, and someone who is also, Lord keep me humble, like articulate and smart and compassionate. Like, if not me, then who? Like, I feel
I
like,
have
like,
I have always had the exact same attitude. It's just that unfortunately, it's like the way I look is not representative of my my disabilities. You know what I mean?
right.
So that's the problem. Like I wish that I had the energy and the good health based on how I look. Not that I'm something or whatever, but
No,
like,
I know exactly what you mean. Not
but
every disability is visible.
yes.
Yes.
So I have several diagnoses based on like a genetic,
Wow.
a genetic condition which
Yes.
affects many other conditions, and basically it can produce many other health problems and comorbidities. So
Right. I mean,
that's
absolutely. And like, so just to look at a person, you never know their experience, their history, their trauma, their physical capabilities.
right.
And like, I am just someone like who does not have a lot of those limitations. And so here I am. And like, I want to hold the weight for other people who would like to do this. And like, it's a privilege that I'm able to run. And
Yeah.
I want to do like we all have to help each other, and there's going to be times that I need your help, and like we have to help each other. And anyway, I could tangent forever, but I've so enjoyed this. Please interview me again. You're so good at it.
Thank you so much. I tried to do the homework in relation to specifically Kentuckians, because I feel like that's the state. Yes, you would be a representative for Americans in general, especially in regards to foreign policy. But when laws are passed, at the state level, there's a trickle down effect to being a federated system, that it can also be applied in other states. It sets a precedent, and then once, like for example, a law hits over 30 states, then it is much more likely to be adopted into federal law. Just like, for example, with the the anti-BDS laws that are in place right now in over like 33 states. And it's actually part of my, if you look at the profile picture of Censored, that is the main law that I keep telling people that it's so anti-free speech.
Right.
And I am surprised that especially conservative people who are generally have always been free speech, people who advocated for, rights, constitutional rights, and that they are not more upset about it.
Oh my gosh. Hello, Kentucky. Any of my Kentucky people here? Do we love the First Amendment or not? Because we got to start showing up.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I gotta pee and walk my dog and go to bed. Why don't you? Thank you so much for having me and for doing this. Do you want to all 6 people here? Do you want to plug your socials?
Like you mean like enter my
Just like say what your TikTok handle is, or if there's anything else you just like to say. Like I don't know if you do a blog or if you have a book or anything like that.
I do. I actually, it's funny because it's like I write and then I'll publish something, but then I'll be too scared for people to discover me.
You gotta. Because if you're gonna be like that, what's the point?
Yeah. So I'm like, no, don't find me because I like.
Let us find you. We want to find you.
So I'm trying to like, So sometimes I publish, like, let's say I did like a kind of like an editorial as a Muslim woman, how it felt to be a Muslim in America post 9/11. And it's just kind of like, a culmination of like years worth of like basically depression, that I felt like, for example, I do stuff like that. I'm trying to write a fictional book. And I wrote about Native American, a fictional story about Native Americans, for example, during the French and Indian War.
Take the leap. Plug the story. We want to read it. Only if you're comfortable. I'm bullying you, but I'm joking. Of course, only share what you're comfortable sharing.
Yeah. So if you don't mind, can you hashtag my name because I am in the Zoom, so I can't. I don't know if I can.
Oh yeah. So I am gonna. Can I comment on my own live? Sorry, I don't think so. But let's see. I actually tagged you. I think it's my second or third most recent video, the one where you said we were going to be going live tonight. You're tagged in that. It's at censored847. Is that right? I think I'm right. It's at censored847 on TikTok. You are dropping some bangers when you go live. Oh my gosh, like this is a knowledgeable lady. Like you all, if you like me, you will love her. Like yes. All right. Well, I guess we will say goodbye to everybody. Thank you so much for having me. I hope everybody has a great night.
Thank you. It was lovely speaking to you.
Yes, absolutely.